Hey everybody, Lars here. Sitting here on Tuesday, February 6th, and thought I'd take some time at the end of the day real quick to shoot the Project Euler video for the class. Now this video doesn't have anything to do with your resources or something you need for your assignments. It's basically a little side thing to do, but you're going to get a kick out of it because when I show people Project Euler, they get a kick out of it. But there's a story behind it. So before we get to the code, we will get to the story. Back around, I guess in the fall, it'll be 8 years now. I'm turning into an old man very quickly. I already look like Santa Claus, yeah? This is what Santa Claus looked like when he was in his late 40s. All right. When I first built my lab, the cave, students would come by and they would say, we want to learn Python. Now at the time, 2010, Rutgers University did not have a Python course. Now, of course, there's my course. And there's also a course down in Camden that the MBS students used to go down and take. And as far as I know, these are the only offerings. There might be somebody else that does it kind of as like a whatchamacallit, a boot camp kind of situation. But we're, I think, the only official Python classes that you can take for credit at Rutgers. Anyway, that didn't exist back in the day. So students knew I was a fan of Python and that I was a Python programmer. And they would say, what do you do to learn Python? So what I would do, and it would be kind of different now because I don't know if I'd still do it, but back in 2010, we sent them to a site called Learn Python the Hard Way. It's a joke, obviously, and that's going to be one of the places you're going to go when you do your midterm assignment. You're going to learn about that when I do announcements at the end of this video. So we would tell them to go to Learn Python the Hard Way, and Learn Python the Hard Way is a series of chapters. They want you to type in all the code so you can make mistakes and learn from correcting your mistakes, and it goes through a whole bunch of different Python setups. Now, after class, you know the difference between 2-point whatever and 3-point star. Learn Python the Hard Way was 2.7. So we had to tell people, hey, we want you to learn 3, but for this little bit, when you do your print statements, don't worry about the parentheses because it used to be, now it's 3, but back in the day it wasn't. So people would go and do Learn Python the Hard Way, and when they got done, they would come up to us and they would say, okay, what now? And we would send them to a website called Project Euler. Do I have it up? I do not. I have the Cognitive Science magazine up. God bless Chrome. I will just type Project Euler up there in the URL, and I will get Project Euler. I tell this story every time. You pronounce the name Euler, even though it looks like Euler. And I was corrected in a math class in front of like a bazillion people and made to look like a horse's rear end. But it's Euler. It's pronounced the way you pronounce it is Euler. Famous mathematician. We won't get into all that stuff now. This site has number theory problems, okay? And it has a lot of them. I know because I looked before. I created an account for us. But if you go to the archives, you can see a list of all of these problems. And you see, if you go all the way to the end, there are now 609 Euler problems. And you can see all the people who solved them and all the different things. We are going to take a look at problem number 6, the sum square difference. And what you're going to learn, and later on after we solve this, we're going to come back here. We're going to sign in with our new class account, and we're going to put in the answer to sum square difference, number 6, and we're going to see if we get a check mark, and we're going to see what happens. Okay? So if you get any of these Euler problems, if you click on them, you'll see it'll pop up and it'll say, in this case, the sum of the squares of the first 10 natural numbers is, you see 1 squared, 2 squared, all the way up to 10 squared, and equals 385. The square of the sum of the first 10 natural numbers is, and you see it adds up all the first 10 numbers and then squares that, so it's 55 squared, is 3025. So the difference between the sum of the squares and the square of the sum is 3000 minus 385 is 2640. So the difference between those two things is 2,640 for 1 to 10. Now, Euler is asking us, hey, find the difference between the sum of the squares for the first 100 natural numbers and the square of the sum. So, okay, how would we do that? It's actually a problem that's easily solved if you use computer programming to do it. And you'll see a lot of people with Project Euler, they do solutions in Java and C++, and now a lot of Python. There's a lot of Python out there. We're going to talk about it in a minute. But right now, so I don't forget, from Jump Street, I'm going to tell you what I'm doing right now is bad. I shouldn't be doing what I'm doing, because if you're a fan of Project Euler, you don't want to show people how to solve them. You want them to be able to solve them for themselves. Okay? Now, there's a whole bunch of different sites out there that have a lot of Euler solutions. If you, and I know you're going to, so if you go into Google and you say Project Euler number blah blah Python, and you hit enter, it'll take you to Stack Overflow, where there's probably 70, the first 70 out of 90 solutions are sitting there. Fight the urge. Do the problem first. That's what I did. I always fought the urge. And it's a lot richer and more interesting if you solve all these things yourself and you're like, I did it. I didn't have to look for the answer. I solved it myself. And then when you find out you're right and you did it the correct way, it's like, it's wonderful. So give yourself that chance. That said, this is a pretty simple one. And I've done it before. It's not like I'm going around and doing a whole bunch of different ones, because I thought about that once. I'm like, no, I can't do that. I'm going to stick to number 6. So we're going to look at this, and we're going to solve number 6 with Python. Okay? So let's get started. We are starting from scratch. I guess I'll use 3.6. It doesn't really make a difference. I'm going to use idle, because we're doing this class, so I'm not going to use spider. That's usually what I would click. And I would say new file. And truth be told, we should need more than this space right here. Let's do some comments. I will just say my name, and I will say Euler number 6. And that is good enough. Actually, we're not going to need that, so let's get a space back. Okay, now, when I solve a Project Euler problem, I do this. I grab the problem, highlight it, copy it, and then I come in here, 1, 2, 3, and I just paste it in. Okay? Now the formatting, it looks like hell at first, so all I do is I go and I take care of that. So now I have the problem right there in my code. Let's save it. I don't want to go around to a bunch of different places, so I'll just call it Euler 6 right there. And here we go. We're ready to solve the problem. We have the comments. We know who we are. We have all the things up there. So what's the first thing I want to do? The sum of the squares of the first 10 natural numbers is, and you can see the notation is off because that last 2 is supposed to be the square. So the first thing I want to do with a series of numbers is I want to find the sum of the squares. So I'm going to create a variable called sum of squares. I'm going to set it to nothing. Then I'm going to say for I in range. What's my range? Well, I want to start at 1. What's the first thing I don't want? 11. So I'm going to go to 11. And what am I going to do? I'm going to say sum square equals sum of square. Remember, we're setting up an accumulator. Remember what you saw in the video where we did, loops. We're setting up an accumulator because we want to keep this value. And what do we want to keep? We want to keep I squared, because we want to sum up all the squares. So as we go through the list from 1 to 10, we want to square it and add it up together. So now, print sum, I'll spell it out. Sum of square is, colon, comma, sum of square. So now when we run this code, do I need that space? I really don't. We get 385, which we know because we have the example up there is correct. So we're in Fat City. Pretty snazzy. Now I have to go and find the square of the sum. So what I'm going to do, watch me cheat a little. It's not really cheating because I wrote the code. And I'm just going to paste that down there. But now I'm going to change things because now I want square of sum. So I'm going to change that variable. 1 to 10 is still good. But now I don't want to square it. I want to add everything up first, okay? And then once I've added everything up, then I want sum of the square to equal sum of the square squared, okay? So I add 1 through 10, which is 55, as we know. And that variable will be 55. And then when I get down here, I just square it, okay? So now I can say square of the sum, yeah, I did make it uppercase up there, is, so now when I run it, dun 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 dun, what I do wrong? What I do wrong? How about changing the variable in here? Da 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 da. See, that's what happens when you go too fast. Let that be a lesson. So square of sum, and then square of sum, square of sum. So SQ, 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 SQ. Now we're back in business. Okay, so we're in good shape here because I've got the first part, the sum of the squares, which is 385, and I've got the second part, the square of the sum, which is 3025. All right, so I'm in good shape here. Now, what do I need to do? Well, I need to find the difference. I can just do that in a print line. Watch this. The difference is, comma, and then I will do square of sum minus sum of square. Right there in the line. And I'll save some space and assuage my OCD by doing that. And then, all right, the difference is 2640. So I look up here, and it tells me 2640. Nice. Okay. So now we have a piece of code that's solved our problem, but our problem was really 3 different problems, and that's one of the points to this video. First, we had to find the sum of the squares, then we had to find the square of the sums, then we had to find the difference. We had 3 different problems here that we had to solve. So we took them apart, we compartmentalized, and we used what we have so far. What do we have so far? We have looping, okay? We're using range, we're using an accumulator, we're dealing with variables, we're using a print statement, we're using all the tools in our Python toolkit after the first couple of weeks to start solving some real problems, okay? But we're not done yet, because if you read that problem up there, Euler doesn't want 1 to 10. They already did that. They want to know what 1 to 100 is. And this is where the magic of programming comes in, because if you want 1 to 100 in our example, what do? Piece of cake. Look, instead of 11, I make it 101. 101 is the first thing I don't want. And I'm going to go through the same process that I did 1 to 10, only now I'll do it through 1 to 100. Okay? Instead of having to add up all those numbers, I redo it and bloop, I get that right there. So the difference is 251, 64, 150. Okay? Now, I'm not going to let this stand. Watch this. I'm going to create a variable called limit. And I'm going to make limit equal to 10. And then when I come down here, for the second part of the range, I'm going to use a variable. That way, I only have to change it in one place. Okay? Now, will that work? I'm not going to run it. Well, I will run it. No problem in that. So now I get 1740. 1740? I should get 2640. What's going on here? Something's crazy. What's crazy is that I did limit 10, and it was the end of my range. Well, the end of my range is the first thing I don't want. So I really did 1 to 9 right there. Okay? Now, I could change this to 11, but that's not really what I want. I want the variable to be 10. I want to do from 1 to 10. So what I do is I just come here and I add 1 to the variable. Right here in the range. All right? So now if I want to do 1 to 10, I can put 10 in my variable. And then when I run the program, I'm back in business. So now I only have to change the number in one place. I add that 0 there, and I rerun, and look at that. Now I'm doing 1 to 100. Okay? So right there, just that little piece of code right there, we're solving 3 different problems. We're putting it all together. We put 100 in there for the limit, and now we've got an answer, 251, 64, 150. Now we're going to have some real fun. Let me highlight that. Save it. And let's go see if we're right. Now, sign in. I am not going to sign in as myself because I've already done most of these. I'm going to sign in as PMDS-S for spring 2018. Okay? The password is all lowercase, Python class, okay, in lowercase, and then they'll ask you to put in a confirmation code, 60190 in this case. and then you say sign in. And look at that. I'm sure the magic of Camtasia is letting me zoom in on that part right there. So we're logged in as class. PMDS-S 2018. The password is Python class. If you want to sign in and start solving some Euler problems with your Python skills, go right ahead and do it. And then put the answers in here and everyone will be able to see. All right? Now, if we go to number 6, you'll see there's a spot for the answer. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to paste the answer that we got when we did our program, and I'm going to put in the confirmation code, 666. Uh-oh, you people aren't reading Revelations or watching The Omen. So 79666, there's my answer. When I hit check, we'll see if we get the correct answer. And if we do, one of the nice buzzes a computer programmer gets is to get a big green check mark at Project Euler, because that's what you get when you get one correct. You know what? I think we have a pretty good chance here. So I'm going to hit check. And bang, we got our green check mark. Congratulations, we got our first one correct. 384,000 people have also done so. It's one of the easier ones. But now we're on record. We've done one correctly. So if I go to progress up here, I can see that I've answered number 6. And I can click on it, and I can always see what the answer is. Okay? And now you can, there's different levels. If you solve the first 50, 75, 100, and you can see here as you solve them, you'll get them to come down. If you go over here, where is it? Statistics. You can see different stats on the problems, like who solved them and how many it takes to solve, to do whatever. We used to tell people to do the first 50. And right now, if you do the first 50, you will be in the top pretty much 94%. So back in the day, it made you a 5%er. All right, in order to be a 1%er, you have to do, where are you, nines? You have to do 112 of them. And you're pretty much a 1%er. If you do 113, you'll be a 1%er. Okay? So there's all kinds of stats. There's all kinds of different things you can read about. Recent problems, archives, about the site, how it came about. My advice to you is you don't even have to use this class account if you want. Create your own account with your own name, and that way when this class is over, you still have it. Okay? And then you can go and do more questions and more problems and solve things, and you'll learn about different things in Python that help you with Euler problems. There's a library called ITER tools, or iteration tools, which is very helpful. You're going to learn about things that have to do with number theory, such as prime numbers and blah, blah, blah. So you'll have a prime sieve around, and you'll be able to do a bunch of things like that. Euler is really neat. It's a really cool place to brush up on your programming skills. So we used to tell students, hey, learn Python the hard way. Get the basics down. And once you have the basics, go do the first 50 Euler problems. And it would take a while. It's not something you do overnight. Yeah, the first 50 of them are easy. So you'll bang out 1 or 2 a day. But after 2 or 3 weeks, you start trying some of the harder ones, and you start doing more interesting things, and you'll see it tests your Python knowledge, and it tests your problem solving. But as you work through them and as you do these things, it's a great way to learn Python and start using it, especially in a data science sense, because you're manipulating numbers and you're transforming data and doing different things. It's interesting. It's a good way to do it. All right, so that is what Project Euler is about. Now you know what the deal is. What we're going to do is next week, I'm leaning down. I remember I got to stay in front of the camera. Next week, we're going to take part of our review videos. Next week actually is Unit 3, and Unit 3 is a 3-part unit. But we're going to take part of that time with our new skills that we're going to learn next week, and we're going to rewrite this. And we're going to write this in an even more efficient, better way in order to solve Euler number 6, and we'll redo that. All right? So I would usually at this point say don't type in this code, because I'm going to put it up on the web for you. But you know what? I don't think I'm going to. You have it right there. Go ahead and type it in and get it working, or solve it for yourself. I think you should go solve it for yourself and then just use this as a reference if you make some mistakes or you want to find out what's going on later. Go try to solve it yourself and see what you can do with it. All right? So that is Project Euler. Go there, play around, have fun with it. It's a great site. Okay? As far as announcements are concerned, I'm really only concerned with 3 things. Number 1, your forum post is going to be due Friday night. The unit ends Monday, so the posts need to be in by midnight on Friday. If you do not get them in by midnight on Friday, it will cost you a point. Do not get mad. Do not get angry. Do it or lose a point. That's it. Now, the second thing, when you do these posts, they need to be half a page long now. It should be easy if you watch that TED Talk. It's very interesting. Slavin does a lot of cool things in it. It should be easy to do about half a page. I've looked at the first 3 or 4 people who have put in their posts, and it looks to be about the right length. So if you want an example of what's necessary for these posts, go look at the first ones that got in there, because they seem to be about right to me. They're not, I'll look at the posts, and if one sets off my spider sense, then I'll highlight it and I'll bring it into Word and I'll take a look at it. None of those first 4 posts set off my spider sense. So they're in on time. They're a decent length. They look like they're talking about some interesting stuff. My guess is those are going to be 5s. Okay? Just so you know. That's number 1. Number 2, the unit ends Monday, which means I'm going to open up the quiz probably at 8 o'clock on Sunday. All right? Quiz, like the last one, should not be any great shakes. It'll be 6 multiple choice questions. No, it'll be 5 multiple choice questions, and then there will be just a little snippet of code for you to write. All right? And it won't, like I said, it's not hard. It's a 1 day, more than a day, open book test. So you should be fine. You will have no worries. Okay? Third thing, and I don't want it to freak you out and make you do extra work, and don't mess up Unit 2, but tomorrow, probably tomorrow, maybe the next day, I'm going to release your midterm assignment. Okay? You have a full month plus. I think it's due March 11th to do this, and it's not insanely difficult, so no worries, please. Don't get it and think, oh my god, I got to do this, I got to do that. Worry about Unit 2 right now, all right? You'll see when you get the assignment. And what we're going to do, and I'll explain this better when we get to the next unit, is you're going to look at 3 different online resources for learning Python. We're going to look at one of the Harvard videos. We're going to look at Learn Python the Hard Way, but I don't want you guys spending money. Don't spend money on anything. All right? I want you using the free stuff. And then we're going to look at Code Academy. And you're going to engage with these different resources for a couple of hours each. And then you're going to write me a 5-page compare and contrast. And you'll see when you get the charge, when you get the information about the project. I have some questions. How do you compare this to a high school or a university experience? How would you do this? How would you do that? So you're going to have guidance and you're going to know what's going on. All right? Word to the wise, this is an expository paper. Do not give me pictures. Do not give me bullet lists. You'd be on the floor laughing if you've seen what I've gotten in the past. Do not give me a list. Okay? This is to be a paper. You need to write. You need to communicate. You are in an MBS program. Coding is 1. Communicating is 1A. All right? So you need to know how to write and you need to know how to do these things. Because a lot of people go, paper? It's a programming class. Why am I writing a paper? Blah, 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 blah. Put a sock in it. You got to learn how to write. You're going to do anything serious in this world, got to learn how to write a little bit. Got to know how to communicate. All right? All right. Enough said. Other than that, we're now in a post-Eagle world. We are now in a world where the Eagles have won a Super Bowl. Just makes me upset. Almost as upset as the end of the hockey game last night, as the Islanders were beating the Predators, one of the best teams in the NHL, with a minute left in the game. All of a sudden, they let up a goal, and the game was tied, and then they went into overtime, and they lost after 4 minutes of overtime. So last night was not a good time to be furniture in my living room, because a lot of things got kicked and thrown around. Just upsetting. Always a bridesmaid. No one plays defense. Terrible. Terrible. And no one's going out and getting a defenseman to bolster the team, and it's a terrible thing. I'm not going to bore you with that. All right? Then I'm getting out of here. Hope you enjoyed the video. Hope you enjoy Euler. It's a good thing. I don't want you to go off and do Euler and then go off and do your midterm and forget about Unit 2. Work Unit 2. Those assignments, you're going to see, they're special problems for a special reason, and I'll go over it after you do them, okay? But they require a little bit of thought. So while they're not really long, they require a little thought. So I'm hoping you have fun with them. All right, then I'm getting out of here. I will talk to you later. You have a good night. You know me. I'll be doing announcements probably every day from now until the end of the unit to make sure you know what the deadlines are, you're not getting any surprises, and you know what the deal is. All right? All right. I'll talk to you later. Have a good night. Bye.